Good afternoon / good morning. Hit that like button on your way in. Say hello in the chat. We will be beginning in 20 seconds. Hello everybody. How are we doing? Dump incoming, you say? Am I a bit dark? Brighten up my little face. There we go. It's a bit better. Cool. Who do we have in here? We got Kalechi Agucha. Welcome. Patrick Campbell. Welcome. I'm doing very well, thank you. Still a bit tired, but doing okay. Third, get about it. Let's get it. Mikko Kostov, Hostile Power in-house. Heisenberg, one day at a time. All right. Cool. Yeah. So, it's been, again, a couple of days. This week's been pretty hectic. So I've been moving. Although I haven't really been moving. I've explained this many times. But basically, had a house that's taken like the longest time ever to sell. And I haven't even been living in it for the past like year and a half. And finally it sold today. So keys have gone. Money's in the bank. Got a nice $500,000 of dip buying funds. It's nowhere near that much actually. I didn't own very much of that property, but anyway, yeah. Now I am homeless. I'm officially homeless. Although I have 1 more month of rent left here, but then I will be officially homeless. I'll be a homeless crypto bro, digital nomad for as long as I feel like it, basically. Also, little announcement, because I always forget to do these things. These guys, these lovely guys at Blowfin are, they're officially sponsoring these streams now. So I got to tell you guys about it, because they're a bit of a, I need to update stuff and do stuff and all of these kind of things and all of that kind of thing, and I'm not going to be putting in like adverts and blah 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 blah. But yeah, they've been very kind enough to have started to sponsor these streams. So yeah, the links are the link is in the description below for this. I'll get this done properly, but basically they're giving us some really nice bonuses. So if you sign up using the link below on Blowfin, you get fee rebates. You get a 50% share of the fee rebates that for any of the trades that you take. And also you can get some nice bonuses here. So if you trade $100 million worth of volume, you get $9,400 free money. And it can continue to go depending on your trading volume. So I know it sounds like a lot, 100 million, but yeah, when you actually take perps trades and you add a bit of leverage onto it and you take a few scalps a day, it actually all racks up fairly quickly. So yeah, nice little thing there. There is an announcement on the Discord within for those of you who are in the crew and everything there, and I also did an announcement on Twitter and etc. So thank you very much for that. You also get 10% cash back up to $7,500. So if you deposit 10K, you get 1K free money, right? It's a futures bonus, so it's not actually free money. It's a free trade. So if you deposit 10 grand, if you deposit 75 grand, you can get 7,500 free trade, futures bonus, which means that can be used to take a trade. You could YOLO 100 exit, and then if you are profitable on that trade, you get all the money. all of it. If you're not profitable on that trade, then who cares, basically. So yeah, very nice deposit bonus and everything going on there with additional volume bonuses available. I'll figure out how to promote this kind of thing properly eventually one day. I'm having a cup of tea because I'm so low on energy today. But who else is here? We've not got many likes yet, so hit the like on your way in. Bitcoin's been doing nothing, so despite the fact I haven't been really around this week, it's been doing nothing. All it has done is on 2 occasions popped up into basically these gaps. Again, we've been talking about the 4-hour gaps, very important. The yearly VWAP consolidating below the yearly VWAP, and just a couple of pops into there, but it's just remaining stable. So legacy markets had a bit of a correction yesterday. I'm going to talk about those because they're a really important part of the cycle overall, I believe. And yeah, we'll just see if there's any trades we can take. How much time do we have before PPI? We've only got 5 minutes before PPI, so let's have a look initially at what might happen for PPI. I'm gonna go. I kind of want to keep that chart there. That can. Yeah, let's bring this up here. You gonna load? There we go. Let's do this. Have a look. It's kind of flat. Everything's a bit like blur today, right? A bit blur. We'll open up the NQ. We'll take a look at Bitcoin on the lower time frames. Let's clear that yearly VWAP for now. Why is this here? Fuck. Anchor it correctly, please. There we go. So yeah, just around about that daily open right now. So what can we reasonably expect for any news-related move? Wow, that's a thick line. I think that just basically is done. There you go. Yeah, if we get a move up, then 58,200, you've got previous day VWAP and you've got liquidity there, and it moves into our new monthly and quarterly VWAP, and I would imagine that is roughly about a 50% move from our high to our low that we've just had recently. Whoops. Cool. There's your resistance if this moves up. That was easy, that was quick. There's a short. And if we do drop, I think we got to look a little bit on the... there we go. This is easy, guys. This is easy. This is an easy range. Thing is, you're not going to get like big R on any of these because I think it's just still more consolidation. But for scalps, you got 2 real clear zones here. Piece of piss. Easy peasy. Let's extend that towards the end of the day. Scalp short if we come up here, scalp long if we come down here. Glyph, AR Pepe Brett. Okay. Expecting a sweep of the lows into PPI could be a good long. Yeah, I'm not really looking at volatility today. But maybe it's just because you got 56, nice even number down there. It's very, very balanced. No, PPI is less volatile. Basically, everything gets priced in, doesn't it, by CPI? We've only got 2 minutes left. I'll go over like, I'll have to like rewind, go back over what I was going to be saying earlier after it's happened. I think it'll be quite interesting just to watch what happens here. NQ, let's just do, we've got a couple of minutes left here. I want to anchor a VWAP from that high. I also want to, this is scrappy. There we go. And then we have, let's go 30. It's a bit big. It's a bit big, but that gives you your VWAP gap. Pull that in to make it smaller. You could even go VWAP from yesterday's New York session. That's when the move down was. Yeah, we'll check alts and stuff in a bit later on. Let's just get the PPI news out the way. I'll have a look at some charts. Now we can make this an even smaller target. Pew! I don't think it's going to come up here that high. There you go, it takes the lows. Could have been a little sweep, nice little sweep of Asia lows. See if that will run back now. What's Bitcoin doing? Not a thing. So this would have been real good. Long this, aim for this. CPI yesterday gave epic trades. I'm very disappointed I didn't. Very disappointed I wasn't able to trade that. It is a shame. I haven't traded NASDAQ for a long time. This would have just been bread and butter long for me. Standard stuff. Longer sweep of session lows. Fixed risk. So you give yourself a little bit of breathing room. I normally do like $200 fixed risk. Just go for a long. If you win it, you win it. If you don't, you don't. That gives you about a 50 tick. Oh yeah, I would have got away with that easy. Stop would have been down here somewhere. If you'd long that sweep. So what is the... Ooh. Wow, that's... I mean, the data's kind of interesting, right? Let's just bring this up. Data's kind of interesting because obviously yesterday... CPI ended up deflationary, like it was month on month a negative 0.01. So it beat the expected figures, whereas today PPI, producer price index, has lost what was forecast, so it's worse than forecast. But yesterday there was a big dump when you had good data. Today, do we get a pump on bad data, whatever it is? It doesn't really matter. Data means nothing, basically. It's just where the liquidity is, and it just gives us some volatility. Because everything at the end of the day is priced in anyway, so who cares about what the data is? You just look for where the easy trade is, and the easy trade on this occasion would have been, right, look, there's some nice lows. They're basically equal. That's where stops are going to be. Let's bounce into, let's sweep that, and then let's go up towards these and start to stop out some of these short positions from yesterday. because shorts are in the money, and you would expect for price to then go and start to stop some of them guys out, especially after London session did not take Asia session highs, no matter where you mark this from. So I know some of you guys will be marking that as your Asia highs. It's not what I do particularly. I prefer UTC open. But yeah, you also have Asia highs here. Is Bitcoin moving? No. Not doing anything. Am I like Stroby? Is it? I think it's because I'm wearing a light coloured t-shirt. I think I'm all Stroby. And you see it like lines going. Weird. I don't know if there's a difference between the two lights. So that light's not stroby. That light is stroby. Probably depends on the frame rate of the screen you're watching on as well. Or refresh rate or whatever it is. Glyph, I shorted BTC into the 15-minute OB on low time frames, anchored VWAP there and sweep of highs. Small margin 125x. Yeah, that's so this. I laugh because you say small margin and then you go 125x. Oh, wow. Okay. But if it's small margin, then that's fine because it essentially isn't 125x. It's just. Was this the one you were talking about? Because that was beautiful yesterday. Lovely. And then you had a... Or were you talking about somewhere else? Sweep of highs. Anchored VWAP from that high. Oh, what? Like right here? Okay. I'm not getting that on Coinbase on spot, but obviously you would have had a lot more perps selling yesterday. So if we take a look at what's liquid. What's liquid right now? Nothing really, is it? Is Bybit very liquid? No. This is horrible price action. There's no liquidity. But yeah, cool. Cool. Stick to Coinbase. I think we go higher, to be honest. Today, I think we squeeze up a little bit from here. This is the thing, like don't like fiddle in the middle of the range like this. It's a bit like, I mean, yeah, you did take a high, but what significance is there with that? You could have got a nice short. I mean, the volatility would have given you a good short. You may or may not have been able to take profit depending on whether the exchange that you're on took out those lows. So if you traded on Bybit, you would have got a TP off of that. If you traded on Woo, you would have got TP off of that. See where you're taking out these lows? So if you're short, you would have got a TP. But I do think we float up from here, to be honest. After seeing the reaction from the NQ. We'll wait and see. It's literally not moving, so nothing to discuss. And if there is to be there is no trade here, not for me. I either wait, alerts down here, alerts up here, trade when you get away from the POC because it's so crowded. And by the time you take fees into the equation, can you even profit from that move? Like, is it actually I mean, once you take fees out of that, you're making nothing by trading this. Even if you win, like about 80% of your margin is going to be used up on fees there. So you've got to win that trade, because fees cover about 0.5% if you're market in, market out. In general. So you got to go for moves that can cover that. Or you use chase orders or exchanges that have fee rebates, or all of these kind of things. Well, that was boring. It just took loads. It would have been nice money, actually, to be honest. Let's see if this can just get a bit of a push. I'm going to place an alert up here. See if we take out these highs, but it's not looking particularly likely. Maybe it just stays here until the New York session opens. And yeah, we take it from there. Drishek, what is PPI data? PPI data is the producer price index. It is an important piece of economic data that comes out of the US every month, and it moves markets, or it creates volatility. So yesterday we had CPI, the consumer price index, which created one of the biggest moves that we've seen on the Nasdaq and on the S&P for quite some time. Yeah. Taking out a good week or so of uptrend, all in one go, all in about like a few hours time here. And we've had similar data today, so seeing if we can get some kind of similar thing going on here. Generally that first move gets faded. So yesterday the first move was up because the data was positive, but then it gets faded and the market corrects itself and rebalances itself. Today, first move is down because the news was kind of bad, but the market's likely going to correct that and start to come back and test in a bunch of imbalance that was there from the move down. So overall, it's a relatively simple bullish bias for the session based off of where the liquidity is and what happened yesterday. But of course, anything can happen. This is trading. We do not know what is going to happen. So we'll see. Is there anything lower that's of interest on? And there's not really anything lower that's interesting here. Oh look, this also, yeah, this is all you. Yeah. I'm bullish for the session. It hit that 4-hour gap as well. Now, if it's going to lose that, you've already tested the one below. No, you haven't. I lie. You haven't tested the one below. I lie. I thought you had. Level to level. See what happens here. But that does remind me, there is something that I want to cover on the higher time frames, because I do believe we see a more corrective move from legacy markets over the next month or so. And there are very clear reasons for that. I'm not going to do my Bitcoin like recordy video update thing. I'm just going to chat today and have a look at the markets in general, and then I'll get back to doing my daily analysis and everything next week when I'm a little bit more settled. But I've had barely any chance to look at the charts all this week, so this is just a bit of a catch up for myself and for you guys as well. So I'll just be flicking back and forth, seeing what's there, seeing what if there's any trades or anything that we can look at. But something I do want to cover is the macro. So For those of you who are not already following on Twitter, on X, then I did a tweet this morning. I also posted this out to everyone in the crew before that with a little bit more detail. But for those of you who are not in the crew, let's bring this up here. And yeah, basically saying interesting developments from legacy markets this week, very similar to what we saw from previous cycles. Both S&P 500 and the Nasdaq have hit the 1.618 expansions of previous cycle all-time high to COVID lows. This is huge from a macro perspective and perfectly matches the thesis I've had of seeing some kind of corrective summer move from legacy before the true mania and parabolic phase starts end of Q3 into Q4. I'll show you these charts in a minute, but essentially, yeah, this is what I'm hearing. We've come into that 1.618 on both the Nasdaq here and also the S&P 500 here. The S&P 500 is really interesting also from a log perspective, and I'll show you that in just a second as well. But what we also saw in the previous cycle was that we had a very similar situation where before Bitcoin started moving, and this here was what I would consider the March, April, May meme coin summer, Solana summer, not Solana summer, because we never had a Solana summer, it was a Solana spring. But that like meme coin hype when we had the DeFi summer back in 2020, whilst the legacy markets were all pumping, and then Bitcoin did nothing. Basically, wasn't really catching up. The markets were kind of like a bit shitty after that and were for a while. We got this corrective move, and then so essentially crypto not following the first markup from legacy markets. Then legacy markets pull back, but crypto remains resilient and doesn't continue to pull back with it. Then you get this reaccumulation within legacy markets as crypto starts to just grind back up to where its previous resistance was. And then finally you go into this mania phase when everything runs together. And we're looking at that to be end of Q3, beginning of Q4 kind of thing this time around. So it is really, really similar what we've seen. So I'm just going to put these up on here. And first of all, we'll look at the S&P 500. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is these all-time highs, not to COVID lows, sorry. These all-time highs to the corrective lows that we had previously. I actually did that tweet wrong, didn't I? But never mind, you get the idea. We've come into some like macro, the cycle is the right thing. But with the correction that we've been looking at, that wasn't the COVID lows, it was just the lows that we put in after the all-time highs in 2021. So we had those 2021 highs that made those lows around where the FTX stuff was, not COVID. Now we've had these two corrections off of the 1.272, and now we've just tapping into that 1.618. So I do believe that we could see something that comes back down here and starts to have a bit of a correction here. However, I'm still overall bullish. I still would at the very least expect a measured move as a new market cycle towards the 2. Okay, and I think beyond that, that's when you start to look at that parabolic start of move coming afterwards. So looking at maybe like 25,000 on the Nasdaq and looking at, let's say, 6,600 type of area on the S&P to end the year, that kind of thing. But also when you look at the log scale, this is quite interesting. So if you go again from our highs in 2021 down to the lows in 2022, and you go onto log scale, you can see here how that 1.272 had a real nice reaction. It worked as a nice SR level. And then if we're going to be using log scale, let's say linear 618, 1.618 gives us a bit of a pause. And then we're looking for this other move later on in the year to come up towards that 1.618 on log. So this is something we have seen previously. And this is what I was showing in that second chart where we had a this. Okay, so this was the COVID lows. Yeah. on legacy markets and on Bitcoin. They put in lows a little bit, like Bitcoin put in its lows slightly earlier. Legacy markets continue to dump for a couple of weeks afterwards. So I'm kind of in the way here, aren't I? Let's move this over, shift this over. There we go. So this is day by day. I've matched up the exact days here, and got it at the same scale. So legacy markets previously put in those lows slightly after what Bitcoin did. Bitcoin bounced a bit earlier, and then it went into this cycle. Okay, you had the halving around here. Yeah, so halving was somewhere around here, right, where you have this first markup from... We could actually be a bit earlier on this as well, because of course with the NQ you had this markup here that Bitcoin wasn't following on, and then Bitcoin had this big summer lull as legacy markets continued higher. So there could be a situation where we're looking maybe at something like this. Either way, it ends up being very, 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 very bullish, right? We're looking at an incredibly bullish end of the year, I believe. However, if we are a little bit later on, we're either expecting like this and we're going to go through the whole alt season, drop, then go, or we're looking at just markup very soon from here. That sounds to me as if NQ's just taken out Asia highs, which is very nice. So that would have been a take profit on that trade if anyone did just go long on the NQ or on the S&P. But yeah, where I believe that we could be is seeing this first correction within the bull run from the legacy markets, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking. We've had the drop. We're having what is clearly a very, very slow market right now, a very illiquid market right now, and that will continue. There's no reason for it to carry on. We had a big drop. It's not just going to rip back up straight away in one go. We are going to see low volatility, I'd say, for a few months. I think it's inevitable. But after that, I think we look to start to recover. Things just grind up, and then we go nicely parabolic towards the end of the year. So it's just a bit of an idea, and yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. What happened then? That was Nasdaq taking Asia highs, right? There we go, easy peasy. Did anyone go long NQ on that little sweep of the lows? I hope some people did. Crew who are trading legacy markets, you surely must have done. This is just the most easy trade ever. Having said it, I didn't take it because I'm doing this instead, but never mind. Glyph, all you Benjamin Karen maxis saying summer lull. I mean, I don't think I've ever watched a Benjamin Karen or ever read a Benjamin Karen thing. I know he's that into the cryptoverse guy. But there will be a summer lull, there always is. So just because someone who has lots of followers says it is going to happen doesn't mean that it won't happen, because it will happen and it is happening. So yeah. Good afternoon, Nuno. Heisenberg, do you think new alts being down 80 to 90% currently is a sign of exhaustion and expect a consolidation here and then up later this year? Yes. Now, I don't think we're going... I kind of believe like the time that we see the... I mean, actually, no. Because even in the last cycle, the older projects didn't pump, right? So you've got to be really selective as to what you're looking at. There's not going to be a whole lot of stuff that gets another shot at highs. I think a lot of the stuff, 90% of the stuff that's down 80 to 90% will stay down 80 to 90%, right? And but then if you are selective about what you're buying and what you're trading, and as a trader it doesn't really matter, you just trade where the volatility is and you just adjust. Like like in the past couple of weeks. Like you just look at the charts and see where the opportunities are. So yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Whatever I was saying, I'm also looking at the chat and being distracted by that. I'll do a little bit more on altcoins in a second. I'll get back to it. I'll talk about that. Man, my brain. I'm so all over the place. I've been so busy this week. My brain's like scattered. How much minimum capital would one need to trade the legacy markets? Nothing. Just trade prop firms. Like, spend $50, get 50k of capital if you can trade it, and just have a few of those, because you're obviously not going to pass the first one. If you're just doing it, you're going to get tripped up on some of the rules and things. But yeah, like you can easily, I'd say, give yourself a few months, and like, let's say enough for 3 or 4 challenge accounts that you're probably going to blow. But then after that, once you get to the 5th or 6th challenge, after a few months, you should start to find that you're finding an edge, you're becoming profitable. Of course, we have mentoring within the crew where we teach this. Everyone who's done it is passing. So you'll pass, and it's not that difficult when you understand the setups that you can take. So yeah, give yourself a few $100 and you can get yourself $100, $200, $500 million worth of capital to trade after that from prop firms, and then you just got to be sensible and keep it. So it's yeah, that's the best way to do it in my opinion. And then once you start to make profit, then you can look at opening your own, like with a broker and stuff. How would you have executed the long on NQ? That wick isn't visible even on 5 seconds. This is what I say. So I do fixed risk on session sweeps. So I will, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to see it. I just boom, get in on the trade. So I trade off of a tick chart. So if I see that the session lows have been swept, then I'll go on a fixed risk, which is $200. Okay, so if it continues to bleed through, then I just get immediately stopped on that. It doesn't matter. I will often just have it, I'll either hit market when I see it taken and see where I get filled and add a $200 fixed risk, or I just limit in with a stop already placed. And if it hits them both, I lose $200 if it bounces. Or from the other side of things, then so it's the same here. Like I could, because we've already swept the lows, right? I wouldn't be then targeting highs. But if I had an idea where I wanted to see highs swept and then get a dump, I would again do fixed risk, just limit order there, stops solid, and I've got a pretty good win rate on it. It's obviously not perfect and you get stopped sometimes, but overall the reward is far outweighs, because you're getting a real nice fill on WooX. But you got to know which ones to trade, right? Like, the reason why that was there is because it's clear that inventory is short. Yeah. So what you want to do is give an opportunity just to, and you also want to fade the first move when it's news. Like, you fade the first move often, especially if it goes in the direction that you would be expecting. If you've got a bullish bias for the day and we've got all of this space to run into, yeah. Then if you've got a bullish bias and you're looking for a lows to be swept, and then, okay, look, that's a much better trade here. Take lows, come up towards this anchor VWAP, which is what I'd be looking for, than like sweep highs where there's no invalidation here. So for me, it just kind of makes sense. What would it have been? I didn't trade this, I'm just looking at it. I'm just giving an example. So So let's just say I never use paper trading. If we would have gone below here, 2360. Oh, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I would have been stopped on that. Yeah, I would have been stopped on that if I'd just placed a limit. It went a lot further. It didn't look like we were that volatile. Yeah, I would have been stopped. If I'd have done a limit order. But I don't know how I would have played it. Like I say, with most of this, what I'm doing is looking at the tape. Right? So you look for an entry and you do it that kind of way. So how would have this looked on the 30? Yeah, I can't say what I would have done there. It was just like a nice. If I'd done the SFP on a 5-second chart, I would have got it. I would have got away with that. That would have been okay. How would whoops. How would it have looked if I did that? Actually, shorting session highs would have worked as well. I wonder if, so if I've got, I haven't got all the order book depth on here or the tape or anything, but. Luke, what are your thoughts on trading support and resistance? I don't really. I don't know. Everything's support and resistance. That's right. I don't know. Like, support and resistance is just a term used to, like, it's the same as supply and demand, or the same as it's just is what it is, right? Unless there's some specific, I don't know, man. Support is support. You're confusing my little brain today. But what else would you trade? If not trading support and resistance, what else would you trade? Because everything is support and resistance. Everything is supply and demand. Everything is highs and lows. Everything is balance and imbalance. So what I would say here is like a POC is resistance. A golden pocket 618 fib is resistance. A monthly open is resistance. In the same way that, like, if you were to trade a fair value gap, it's just an imbalance. And if you trade a POC, it's a balance. Everything's the same. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's all the same thing. Should we have a look at some altcoins? Yeah. I don't know, like, is there like something specific? Like, I know, is there something specific with support and resistance that you're referring to? Because I know some people, they just go, oh my God, guys, look, here's some resistance. Here's some resistance. And, oh, look, guys, here's some support. And when you're doing that, it's like, it's bullshit. You're just drawing boxes around things. It's whatever the reason for that is. If you've got a reason for it being support or resistance, then it's valid. If you've not got a reason and you're just drawing arbitrary boxes around stuff, then that's when it becomes a bit silly. Where you get all these YouTubers and these influencers that go, oh my God, guys, look at this trend line. And then they redraw it when it breaks, or they like draw a box around a random level. Look at this. Here is the biggest resistance the world has ever seen. But why? Why is it resistance? That's what's important. You look smarter drawing boxes than lines, yeah. The boxes thing was like, yeah. So the answer to your question is trading support and resistance, absolutely valid, because everything is support and resistance. You're not going to long at resistance and you're not going to short at support. It'd be silly, but it is what is the reason for it being support and resistance. So you need to have a reason. As long as you have a reason, it is valid. If you can explain your thesis without just saying, but it's support, then it's valid. Whether that's a value area low, whether it's a fib level, whether it's a fair value gap, whether it's a VWAP, whether it's a low volume node, whether it's a high time frame level like a monthly open. As long as you can explain your thesis, it is valid. Even if it's a trend line. Because actually, trend lines do work sometimes. Especially, let's do this one. Trend lines do work sometimes. See? See? Connect the first two highs. It catches everything else afterwards. If I connect it properly. Where are we at with this log trend line, by the way? I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just playing around with stuff. Scary. Scary. There's nothing moving still. Shall we have a look at some altcoins? Does anyone want me to have a look at anything? I'm probably only going to do like another 10 minutes or so. I am. I'm exhausted. It's crazy, right? It's like, I had no idea how tiring. I mean, I've been driving as well a lot, so I made the stupid decision. Instead of, basically we've got a van, movers, like proper movers that are moving everything out today. But like all of my stuff that I'd left in the house, I was just driving like my car backwards and forwards to the house like all week, just taking stuff from the house, dumping it in the flat, going back, more stuff from the house, dump it in the flat, more stuff from the house, dump it in the flat. So now like half my apartment's just full of shit and I'm tired. I need to sleep. ZRO sold it all around 4.2. Looking for a new entry. AR and Pepe. Potential big time setup on ATH, Ether, DYM. That's long beer coins because it's warm in Europe. It's not very warm here today. What is a low volume node? It's a single print gap. It's an area where there's low volume. It's like low volume node. Let's just see here. I'll get to the alts in a second, but just as I'm on this chart. No, you don't want to load. Fixed range profile. You don't want to load either. It doesn't want to tell you what a low volume node is. It's not loading. There we go. So high volume nodes, points of control, high volume nodes, low volume nodes, imbalance, balance, balance, imbalance. What price seeks to do most of the time, correct imbalance. So that is why I have a box here lining up with a low volume node. Price looks to correct imbalance, return to balance. What we've seen on the macro, right? Reason for seeing what we've seen more recently. Okay, let's just go from the 38k lows. Okay, you have balance. Price trades with imbalance. That is your range. Once you get acceptance outside of balance, you seek the imbalance and you seek to correct it. So where have we found support? Low volume node. Where were our lows? The lowest of the low volume nodes. That is where you get your bounces. Where it is important that we do not break, next high volume node, otherwise you seek to correct all these guys. So that's yeah, balance and imbalance, low volume, high volume, that kind of thing. Hopefully that was helpful. And yes, altcoins. I'm just going to pick a few. So I'm going to look at, yeah, let's look at ZRO quickly because I personally am trading this. I still have a longs open on this. I'm still bullish on it overall. But I don't know if the market's quite ready for a big move up yet. Look guys, support and resistance. So, yeah, I mean, I'd bought ZRO at $2.50. Sold a lot of it at $4.20. Have bought a little bit more down here. I made a silly mistake of buying a little bit more here the first time, but then I added to it around here. So I've got an average that's around about $3, holding the rest of that after having taken profit. I still just very bullish. It looks like quite a constructive chart to me. What I wouldn't want to see is price coming back below, because what we have seen, again, just simple SR levels, right? We have seen launch price acted as resistance, okay, tried to break once and hold, was unable to do so. A second time you got continuation. Now we're essentially looking at this area down here, $3.60 being support, $4.40 being a resistance, and we've got a new range that could be traded there. So then what we're looking at is you go from support and resistance, which are these levels here. Yeah, you'd expect these to be traded within this. However, if you get caught underneath what was there, then you would start looking for the imbalance, because what we have right here is an area of balance. And then as you come down, again, this is pretty balanced down here, because you have all of this old stuff to be looking at. But let's say if we were to lose $3.60, I would probably look to get into a new position. I mean, there's the entire like value area. I don't know, it's not got a lot of price history, to be honest. Could you aim for something like within here? Would this make sense? 4-hour gap down there, the lowest one on the chart. If this is to drop, let's say to $3, I think that would look like a good opportunity again to buy. But it's more of like, CRO is more of a buy and hold type of thing for me. I'm very confident in it 10xing its valuation over the course of the next 6 months or so. So happy to continue to accumulate. I just don't want to be accumulating high. Whereas if it can hold here, I mean, there's an opportunity there. There's not a huge difference between $2.50 and $3.60 if you're expecting to go to $10 and beyond. So, yeah. ATH USDT. This is another one that I've got. Do I have which chart have I been using? Yeah, I mean, this is just accumulation, isn't it? It looks like to me. So as long as you're holding this range again here, everything looks a-okay. Well, you could say like we've had a bit of a markup. So if there is to be a move back down to 0.069, Bitcoin's getting a bit of a bounce, a bit of a move. It's following now. Does that mean NQ is starting to come back up again? No, not yet. Little bitty. Single prints here. Single print here, so maybe scalp short that. One could expect a little pause and a little pullback from this. Whether one will get a little pullback, we do not know. But yeah, ATH, I just like it fundamentally. As I say, for me, I'm not. Yeah, valuation seems good. It's a long-term hold and a DCA kind of thing. So I've mentioned this previously for myself. I run a node on Aether, so I get like tokens every day. Only a like tiny amount of tokens every day. But I'm also starting to accumulate other things, and there's airdrops and stuff like that. So I don't know. Yeah, big time setup idea. More ATH at the POC. The thing with this, you've not really seen, like, the nice thing about ZRO, right? And this was helped because of the market conditions. But when you look at ZRO, you had the confirmed strength, right? So if we look at this range that we had previously, and we just draw it to there. In fact, it's not, we'll do this one. And you have this, yeah? Then what we saw, and this is something that's a little bit nicer, because you've confirmed that you're bullish, I believe, at this stage. And when you look at the volume, okay, there's not, what is this? Oh, this is something I was sent to try. I was sent some stuff from Chart Prime to try out, but I don't really know how to use it yet. Has anyone used Chart Prime indicators? Are they any good? I was just load. Why are the value areas not loading? Load. There we go. Right. This is what I liked from like what we saw, something similar to this from Tia, right? Where you have your initial range that's been built, and then what you get is a real good sign of strength, and that gets people interested. That's like, oh my god, what's this? ZRO, hype, 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 because it's making new highs and it's going into price discovery. And then you've got to get a bit of perps offside, right? And then we had that real nice market dump. And where did it come back into? That was the POC then. Yeah. So if you look at where there it is, yeah, $2.73.6, $2.74-ish. So that was when you had the bounce back into the POC, and then that's when I believe we should start seeing the real big markup in price. So if we go back to like, I think big time Tia, it was kind of a similar thing. If we can go back that far, I seem to remember we'd seen strength from them. Yeah, look, so the Tier one, again, you can't see it because I probably won't let me go back that far, but we had that initial rally and then it went boom and then held that POC here and then went for the big markups, like big market cycle after that. So we managed to catch that move there. With big time, I don't still have this on. That's not my portfolio, by the way. I don't really have one right now. With big time, I think it was yeah. We'd had like, I think it was here, wasn't it? We were looking at this. I can't remember. But that, I think this was the yeah, same thing. See, same thing. So you had, it was this run that must have been on real nice volume. So you had some decent volume there. You get people that start to become interested in the project, and then you boom back into the POC, and then you go for the run. I don't know if we've got that from ATH yet. So that's more the kind of thing I look for. Is it still a bit early? Does it still need to do the, I mean, maybe you could call this. Maybe it is enough. What might be really cool though, again, you don't know if it's going to get it, but if you were, let's say, I mean, now's probably a pretty good time to accumulate anyway, because I think this looks like a real solid base. But let's say, for example, there was to be a run where it goes up to like 9 cents or something, and then the market has another dump that makes it go boof back to there. I think that's when you go, whoa, yeah, I'm going in, because I don't know yet if that's enough of a spark or whether you need to spark more before coming back down. But regardless, I think that looks like it's going to end up being the support level anyway. So does it matter if you're buying it when you're testing it the first time or if you're testing it the second time? The only difference is that you don't know if it, because it hasn't had that spark yet, you don't know if that's actually going to work or whether you just continue to trade in this range for a little bit longer. Yeah, whether maybe it continues to trade in this range for a little bit longer, does this, and then it goes for this afterwards. But I don't know, it's really difficult. Like you're just looking at like patterns that are similar playing out. I'd like to see people talking about it. I'd like to see a little bit of buzz. Buzz. I don't know if there's that much buzz around this yet, which shows me that maybe that like the little thing that ignites it is not quite there. Another thing for this as well is because it's not a, I'm just like saying what's in my brain, basically, as I always do. But is there, and I'm asking myself this question as well, right? Is there a difference in this? Because obviously with things like ZRO, with things like tier, stuff we'd shown previously, they were, first of all, they were airdrops, so they were given to the community in one go, right? And secondly, the VC bought tokens on the token generation event. Now, the difference with Aether is the VCs for Aether have nodes, so that means it's a gradual supply, yeah, being given to the market, just slowly. It's like a dripping tap, rather than with these other projects, you've just gone, you open the floodgates, you shut it off, then you wait for the next distribution, the next vesting period, you open the floodgates again, then you shut it off. So what had happened with ZRO, tier, for example, on listing, open the floodgates, a ton of supply come into the market, right? That gives it a bit of a drop on listing, and then it starts to stabilize, and then it goes, as that supply peters out and there's no, everyone who has sold it, then it marks up, and then you have another like supply, another dump of supply coming into the market like 3 months later. With Aether, because people are running nodes and they're getting their coins gradually, is it going to be a slow burn? Because people aren't going to be selling, because they haven't yet accumulated enough. And also, would there be an interest in keeping it low, keeping the interest low, in order to increase the rewards for those who are running the nodes, to give them more time to get more tokens, and then maybe towards the end of the cycle, that's when it sees its markup? Just a thought. I don't know. It's all just, we never know what's going to happen with coins, but it's a thought. So we'll see. Because I personally would rather this stays low for quite a lot longer, because I want to get more. I want more time to accumulate more tokens before it goes crazy, because I'm getting tokens every single day by having a node. I don't even need to run a node. So I saw this as well. Shorty, do you have their device, Aether? No, I don't. So I'm just running its GPU mining, but you don't need to mine it. If you have a node, you get a base reward of X amount of tokens per day, just for owning the node, just for being a node owner. And then you can delegate that node to someone else who has the hardware, the machinery, in order to get bonuses, or you can choose to run the node on your own GPU in order to get more bonuses as well. But at the moment, I'm just taking the base every day, rather than running it myself. And I've delegated for bonuses. So no, I don't have any hardware for it, but I just get some tokens. Yeah, Heisenberg, volume profile. This is this one. So this is fairly new on TradingView. So fixed range used to be the normal one, but if you go anchored volume profile, then you can just anchor it from wherever you want on the chart, and it just goes to the side there. And these are the settings I use. Drift and Mavia look interesting here too. What else was there that was asked about? DYM. Let's just do a quick scan. God. Headache. DYM's a tricky one. I would have preferred if this had held a little bit higher, but I mean, it does have a little 4-hour AB there. You may be at the anchor view up from that low. You are at that anchor view up from that low. It has held previously. DYM could be interesting because it hasn't yet come up and taken all of these stops, and it's had a pretty decent recovery so far. You certainly would not want to see it go back below $1.30 or $1.28. So as long as it's holding here, I guess you've got a setup. Yeah, I guess you do have a setup if you're wanting to continue this trend and go for to correct all of that move. And what is this? That is a VWAP from up here. Maybe valid. So you got a 6-hour trade off of that. Just if you're expecting some continuation just to come up and take these highs. It's not bad. It's not the strongest. I mean, it's a very, very weak looking chart overall. But at some point you gotta revert, right? You gotta come back into. You gotta get back to where you came from sometime. At some point. And that volume at the lows is very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, DYM looks a real solid play at the moment, actually. Just for it, even if you're just going to get a mean reversion, right? You're not expecting lows to go. Okay, around below $1, and you're looking to take it back into. I mean, that was your old POC, was $6 up there. So again, you've got good risk to reward on this. Even if it never comes back to those all-time highs, which I'm sure it will at some point. If it's a half decent project, it will, because this hasn't had a market cycle yet. This is just a victim of the greed that was around in February, March, and April, where everything that launched in February, March, and April is down 80 to 90%. Yeah. So if this survives, because if you launched in February, March, or April, you've had a bear market, or you're in a bear market. The rest of the crypto's okay. It's like kind of a pit stop before new highs. But if you were launching around there, or if you had a cycle that was before, then it's in a bear market. It's if it can survive that bear market, basically. So then you just have to look at the fundamentals, because there are certain things that launched around there, the likes of Big Time that we spoke about before, Shrapnel, a lot of the gaming projects, just shit, just really, really bad. Whereas Dimension, if it's got something about it, then it probably will make new highs when it goes through the cycle again, because this is not unusual. This is not unusual to see a coin dump 90% on after a listing within crypto, and then it goes on to 10x from its original. So like, there will be charts, I guarantee it, there will be charts that at 6 months time look like this, right? You're measuring a 10x from launch, which is what the investors will want. So what the investors demand of the project. So then you're looking at $50. This launched around $5. You're looking at $50. There will be, and I will say this with absolute certainty, there will be projects, Weather Dimension is one of them, that does this. Okay? And then it starts to trade around here. I guarantee it. And that will be towards the end of this year. So there you're looking at a 50x from where it is now and a 10x from launch, which is standard. Completely normal. Completely normal. And generally speaking, if it's on Binance, and if Binance were part of the seed round, when you, again, I don't know how much truth it is in it, but when you talk to people that are in the industry, it's pretty much guaranteed. If Binance, if you list on Binance, you're going to 10x your token from launch, because that's what the market makers will tell the projects. It may be a 3-year time horizon, it may be a 5-year time horizon, but at some point they're going to get a return on the investment that they've made, and they're going to create the chart, right? If Binance are investing into a project, we can have a look at this. If Binance have invested into Dimension and they were part of the seed round, they're going to need a 10x on that token generation event, and they will guarantee a 10x on the TGE. So at some point within that vesting period, it's going to happen. Otherwise, the project's dead, and Binance lose their money, which can happen. They're not going to win on every investment, but stuff like this does happen and will happen. So there you go. That's what's going to happen to Dimension. I don't know a lot about the project. What is it? I can't remember. I've looked this up before. I need to know more about this. So you're outside the top. Wow, this used to be like well inside the... I used to know what this was. Staking, right? Is it interesting? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if this is the best example of one that will 50x, 100x, but a load of stuff will, right? Like it just will. But I just don't know if that's going to be one of them. Like, this is what happened to me on Casper, right? On Cas. Yeah. Cas went through its shit. Okay. Cas launched. So is Dimension around here? It launched. It was down 75%, 76%. All right, a month after launching. What happened? I bought it end of October, beginning of November 2022. The rest is history. I've made 100x. Yeah? From 0.002 to 0.2. And within that time, it's had full on. There's another 60% correction. Right? What's this one? Here. That's a 72% correction. So you've had multiple deep corrective moves on this token before making 100x. And it could have even been more than 100x. And it wasn't difficult to get into this like early on. I was posting about this back in 2022. And this is what I think, like there's going to be so many charts that you're looking at right now that look like this. Okay? But what that is completely normal. Completely normal. Okay? It's had a bigger correction because the market conditions have been worse. You've got to remember with Cas as well, it was at like that launched at the bear market bottom. So realistically, how much lower can it go? The problem that these projects have is they launched in the middle of a bull market, so therefore the pullbacks can be higher because they launched with more greed straight off the bat. But if you're launching straight off the bat and there's fear, then you're not going to like have a 90% drop on a new token in a bear market, because there's so much fear around that it's not going to launch at a high valuation. Whereas when there's greed around, you launch at a high valuation, you need to correct more. But yeah, if Dimension's got anything about it, then sure, it can 50x from here. Absolutely. There was other ones as well. What was the one we were looking at the other day? Gala. Like, I don't have any of this, but I'm really, really genuinely interested in it because we were looking at the website and what they're doing looks really, really good. and the chart looks really nice, and you've got a real good return, like possible return off of this. And you have stuff like this that just looks really interesting because it's not dead, but it looks it. But you actually look at the ecosystem. We did a bit of research into this on one of the streams, and you actually look at the ecosystem and the supply that's out there, it's still thriving and it's doing quite well. But the chart looks dead, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens with this one. I think this could end up being a bit like Velo. When hype picks up on it, which I think's like had its cycle, but maybe, so if you compare Gala, it had this move up, consolidating again, and then we're getting this second markup. God, I'm so glad I sold all of this up here when everyone was shilling it. Everyone was shilling this when it was up here, being like, oh my god, look at this, that whiz thing. You know, he's got like on Twitter, Wiz, he was saying, oh, it's going to go to $1. Fuck no, it's not. It's not going to $1. You're fucking stupid. But like Gala looks similar because you've had like, maybe not. I don't know. I'm interested in it. It looks kind of cool to me. If it can reclaim this area, then that would be interesting. I want to see it go. That's what I want. With those exact noises. Pew! Check ETHFi. Just fade ETHFi. What's ETHFi? Yeah, you launched in greed, you've pulled back. If it's a half decent project, it's going to 10x, it's going to 20x, it's going to 30x, it's going to 40x, it's going to 50x, whatever x you want to add to it, it'll probably do it in a bull market if it's half decent, because it launched in greed and it's pulled back. So you had an 80% correction. Seems to be pretty standard. Anything that launched in it, February, March, April, it would be about an 80 to 90% correction. And then you're probably marking your 30, 40, 50 X's from where it is now, if it survives. Like, you can look at like the worst example of one of the absolute worst, but if this project survives, it launched with insane greed, right? It's down 82%. It probably does end up looking like this by the end of the year, yeah? Because I don't think Starknet's going anywhere. It probably ends up looking like that. That's the kind of market we're going into next. Like, I'm so confident in it. We are going to see face-meltingly ridiculous pumps at the end of this year. And there would have to be absolutely, like, it would shock me so much if that doesn't happen. It will be insane, because there is the only people that think that it's not going to happen are people that are very new to the space and think that it's all over. There is no one that has, and yeah, okay, you might say this is a bad thing, but there's no one with like real skin in the game, like proper money, that thinks this bull run's over. It is in complete agreement across the board that we are still going to see some craziness. And this goes for legacy markets as well. Okay, because I repeat this all the time with legacy markets. We're not seeing new tokens launching on the New York Stock Exchange yet. That will happen. And we will go through a boom of new listings, of companies going public. There will be a massive boom of those, like, later on in the year. And that's when the mania phase starts. But I think we're still a few months away from it. if you had 100k invested, how much you think it could turn into conservatively, knowing the project's invested into less than 100 million market cap? I mean, if you're investing wisely and you're investing with good reasoning on projects that are doing something and the chart looks good and you're actively researching it and keeping on top of things and not, this is the problem, you can easily, and I think you could literally spray and pray and turn 100k into $1 million in this market so easily. Where people fuck up is not by doing that. Okay, you could just go, I'm gonna go 10k into Starknet, 10k into Zero, 10k into fucking Cardano, because at some point it will have a bit of a run. 10k into Ethereum, 10k into Bitcoin, whatever it is. Go for some large caps, medium caps, small caps. I don't think there's a single person here that if you had 100k, you couldn't run that to $1 million. Just by literally just buying 10 things that 10x, because the vast majority of things that are half decent will 10x. The problem is, what people then do is they get greedy and they start thinking, I should have put more in lower, and they see everyone else making 100x, 1000x returns by using leverage, right? And this is what happened back here, okay? So I'm going to go to the chart. This is what happens, all right? You could have, and I did, without doing anything, on that day, and I remember we spoke about this, it was on a stream, I was like, I am going all in crypto right now, and that was on the 14th of October. The 16th of October, sorry, the day of the Cointelegraph intern releasing early release of the ETF news. And that killed the bears. And then I went into projects like Tia, which did a 10x, Shrapnel did a 10x, Big Time did a 10, more than 10x. Then we had the Caspers, we had all of those kind of things. Everything ran together. Now the problem that then has is people then get greedy and they're not making enough because they're seeing that people are already 1000xing their portfolio and they're making millions out of $100 or whatever like that, and they think, 100k into $1 million is not enough for me, I want more. And then what do they try and do? They use leverage to try and fade the move, first of all, and they keep getting stopped. And then at the point in which everyone starts becoming hyper bullish and crazy, and when everything is melting up, they're then throwing leverage into those positions as well and adding margin onto positions that they've been doing really well from. Maybe you're up like 5 or 6x from here to here on your portfolio, and you're like, nah, I want more. And then they get greedy and they start compounding their positions into where it becomes weak, and then it all gets wiped out in one go. Now that is something that quite often happens, and it's something that did happen in a bit of a way to me. Because when we were up here, it starts to get boring, okay? Your portfolio is no longer in up-only mode when you start to range, and you've got to actually start thinking about what you've got to do next. You either have to be patient and wait for, in this occasion, what is almost 6 months. You've either got to be patient and wait for 6 months to a year for it to start going back into up-only mode again, or you've got to start becoming more active. And that's where people fuck up. They are adding leverage, and then they get flushed and they lose it all. And it happens to so many people. So what I will say is, if you put 100k into 10k into 10 projects, by the end of the year, you're almost guaranteed to have made $1 million. But you, as an investor and a trader, and not knowing how to manage that and seeing that and greed and FOMO and all of the other kind of things, is every decision you take from that moment on is likely to make that go to a zero. Yeah. If you make one decision now, buy 10 things, you'll probably make $1 million. Every single decision you take after that is probably going to result in a higher probability that $1 million becomes a big fat zero and you lose it all. And that's what most people do. So there's your psychological pep talk for the day. And I've done it before. I've done it before. I've been burnt before. I will do it again. I'll get greedy at the top. I'll try and add more leverage. I'll get burned. It's just the way of life. But as long as you're taking profits along the way, then when that happens, it shouldn't be too much of a bad thing. There will be a day within this range as well where I go in with the same conviction as here. Yeah? Because I still believe we're going to see something like this. It does this for a while. And at some point we'll just see a poof. And it will just do this and it won't retrace the move. And at that stage I'll be like, yo, I'm all in. And we just go for the next leg. And we have conviction in it and we run it. Right now, I do not have a portfolio to speak of really. I'm dipping in and out of things. I'm testing the water. I'm seeing what works. Like Zero, that was kind of nice. ATH, not really doing very much. Maybe I try and rotate into something else. And you're just dipping in and seeing what you like and researching things. But at some point, you should have a very clear idea in your mind of what is working for you, what you like. Because just by trading some tokens, you'll get a better feel for how they move. You'll be like, oh, this token's giving me a few wins. I feel comfortable holding some spot. And then at some point, you'll see a trigger. And it'll be like it was back on the 16th of October. And you've just got to go, hey, that's it. I'm going for it. And then you know what you like. You know what's been working for you. You've already done the research. And you can just go, bang, I'm putting in my 100K today into these 10 tokens. And then you just go sit away and let it turn itself into $1 million. And don't get greedy once that happens. So the market itself will easily turn 100K into $1 million. But you and your own brain will be the only thing that stops that from happening or enables that to happen. And in fact, the market will do enough towards the end of the year to turn that 100K into 10 million, actually, easily. Yeah, there'll be so many projects that do 100x between now and the end of the year, and they'll be so obvious in hindsight. So obvious. And that's the thing, you just gotta do the research and not fuck it up. So I'm going to do some more of it, but I think we're still a few months out. I still think we're a few months out from when it becomes like we'll go through melt up, but yeah, we'll see. And I could be wrong, but yeah. AI tech, for example, and AGI. Yeah, I mean, there's things like that example XAI, right? I'm interested in this overall. It's been real fudded. It launched at a bad time. It's had a decent correction. I like what the team is doing, and I like that it's been fudded, and it's managing to hold support whilst there's FUD. Beeble, yeah. There's also that. What's that thing? It sounds like it's that like gay dating app. It sounds like Grindr, right? Does it Grindery or something? It's one of those. Like, what is it? It's. I always see the name and I'm like, why does your project sound like a gay dating app? But I think that's a really good project. There's some others that I'm looking at. There's one called Control, which is a multi-chain wallet that's launching soon. I'm interested in that one. There's some others. I can't remember off the top of my head. Can we check out BB on time on B? Is BB Bib? What is Bib? Bibble? Is this what it is? Is this? I don't know what it is. Oh, bounce bit. Yeah, let's have a look. I need to get some water if I'm going to stay here for a bit longer. Oh no, you're not coin rank, crypto rank. It's WhatsApp on. No, that's yeah, bounce bit. Yeah, BB bounce bit. Hold on. Oh, fundraising. Binance. So this is what I said. Binance basically, if Binance are in there, their market makers are going to 10x it at some point. Like, they just will. And that was on the 11th of April. So that's when they went in. It was before it launched. So maybe they bought down here. I don't know. But at some point that's going to look pretty good. But yeah, Binance are involved. OKX Ventures are involved. Vesting. There's no unlocks until next year, May 2025. So you've got no unlocks. Your cliff, it's got a 1-year cliff on this, which means the tokens supply isn't going to come in. Additional supply to investors and everything for another year. Okay, so that's May 2025, and then that unlock continues at a fairly rapid pace up until November 2026. This is probably your next bear market, right, for most stuff, because a lot of things are quite similar. So when you have this rapid increase in supply, that's probably the next bear market. So from around May next year to November, December 2026. And then it starts to cool off again, and then you get that release, the supply starts to fade. Yeah. So when you just look at the unlocks and when everything's doing a similar thing, that's probably, you can just time the next bear market relatively easily from that, because that's where the supply is. Because this was very similar, like it was ZRO, wasn't it? That had the same. And I think most stuff recently, if you look at vesting on here, yeah, this is June 2025. Yeah, see on ZRO you get June 2025. So that and look, that's your supply. That's when all the supply comes into the market. That will be your bear market. So bear market will be from next summer until winter 2026. It's easy. Because the data tells you everything you need to know. And this is what I keep repeating. The only way you can fuck it up is with your own head and your own greed. Because actually the cycles work, and they're really obvious. Sell all your crypto next summer. Every single bit of it. Come back the following winter. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but like, everything just tells you it's gonna be that way. Because all of these projects that are like pretty good, all the same vesting. What else has come out recently? We look at ATH. And we have a look at vesting on this. When's the supply coming out? It's June 2025. There it is. Yeah, some in June 2025. October 2025. And then it finishes February 2027. So then early 2027, the supply is gone. End of 2026, early 2027, supply is gone. New bull market starts. What else? I don't know if this one's on here yet. No, it's not. Oops. This one's ongoing. I can't think what else there is. Let's have a look at the funds. What else have Binance been going into recently? What's something with a big raise? Movement Labs. Shentu. Babylon. That's 100 million raise. Let's have a look at that. Not much information. When's this coming out? Babylon. I have to look more at it. But yeah, they raised a lot of money, so that'll be interesting to see what happens with it. Octaspace. Look into Uprock as a soul deep in play. Oh, Solana, really? Ugh. Can you share the link of CryptoRank? Yeah, it's cryptorank.io. It's really, really useful. Not enough people use it. Fucking gaming, man. That's one of my big mistakes of this market so far. I hope it comes back to me. But that was I mean, it wasn't a mistake. I did make my investment back on that one, but yuck. Launched during greed, paid the price. Issue with these projects is that retail is opposed to VC-backed projects that are launched in 2024 and beyond, taking a lot more risk. 2023 projects will do better. No. Wrong. The reason people don't like VC projects right now is because most of the people that got into VC projects were buying them in February, March, and April, and prices have gone down since then. As soon as prices start going up again, no one's going to complain. Nobody complains about Casper. Nobody complains about Render. Nobody complains about all the other shit that's been pumping and has gone and has been doing real good market cycles. It's all venture capital backed. Okay, the only thing that matters is price. Price goes down, people will hate on it. Price goes up, people will love it. It's just the way it is. So as soon as things start launching, and if things are launching now, Zero, for example, if Zero 10x's, no one's going to give a shit that it was VC backed. Nobody will care. Nobody will care. And when we get new retail coming into the market, they're not going to know what's VC backed or what's organic or what's come from an airdrop or what's been a launch pad or any of that kind of stuff. They're just going to see price go up. I want to buy that shit. There's your exit liquidity. They're not going to have a clue. And that's who you're selling to, is people that don't know this stuff. So all we need to do to be successful is know this stuff and sell it to the people that don't know stuff, and you'll make a load of money. Wait until the people that don't know fucking anything come into the market, sell it to them, disappear for 16 months, 18 months, 2 years. Go on holiday, make your money, chill. Easy. In theory, easy. Satoshi Protocol. What's this? Yike. They didn't make very much, did they? What about Whiff? Whiff may... The way I see Whiff is once the whole market's pumped, Bitcoin's just coming into this area that I spoke about, by the way. Let's enough of this. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. Here we go, see? See what happens here. What's NQ doing? Hey, look at it. Where did I say this would go, eh? Ping. There's all the alerts. So Bitcoin, take this high, short, and then this maybe short. See, this is what I need to like, when you actually just don't give a shit and you just look at the data and you look at what's there. Like, what was it? On NASDAQ and on Bitcoin, it took me, I had a blank chart because I have not looked at the charts for basically a whole week. And I just go to the charts and I'm like, look, it's really fucking easy. That's where it's going. And the only thing, it's the same thing. The biggest thing that like you can do, like the TA is really easy. It's so easy to just know where the market's going to go. Or at least like, I think for a lot of us here, it's just really easy to do the analysis and to be like, this is what's probably going to happen here. All right, you swept the lows, we're coming up here. There's a gap. There's an anchor VWAP. Just makes sense, right? But what traders do, and what I do, so, like a lot of the time still, is I'll fuck it up and I'll change, like, I'll be like, oh, that's so obvious. It's so obvious. You swept Asia lows into a 4-hour gap. You bounced into the anchored VWAP from this high and now you're rejecting. It's so obvious. But we'll always find ways to ruin our own chances of success by just not, by doing something different to what is really obvious. And that's something I like to talk about often because I think it's so much more psychological. And a lot of my streams seem to be going a bit more psychology based because I think that's a massive part when you're trading. If you get the psychology down and you can just follow whatever plan you made and not overthink it, then you can trade well. But in the same way, there's so many things that could go wrong because what I may have done, I don't know how I would have traded this because I didn't trade it. But let's say if I did mark it in here and I got myself stopped and then I started trying to chase and maybe I tried to fade these moves and then got squeezed. That's how you can get fucked because you know that this idea is working, but you didn't execute it well enough. And then you lose the money because you didn't execute it well enough. And that's trading. It's like sport, isn't it? It's like taking a penalty. You know that all you need to do is like smash it into the top corner and the goalkeeper's not going there. But it's whether you can execute it. Like in your mind, it's like, well, just kick it there, yeah? It's not that difficult. When you're playing football, oh look, there's a player over there, I'll just pass it to him and then he's got to kick it in the goal. In reality, it's not quite that straightforward. That's why when we're watching football, we're all armchair analysts being like, Southgate, make a fucking sub now, you idiot. Whereas if you're actually there on the sideline, you wouldn't be doing that at all. You'd be like, I'm scared. And you wouldn't do it. It's all in your head. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm like, going to chill. I might watch Wimbledon. Who's playing? Is there a game going on? Semi-finals, isn't it? Alcaraz. Cool. Thanks everybody for watching. I will see you again very, very soon. Have a great weekend. Yeah, see you on Monday. If I don't see you over the weekend and everything. And I'll be back to like a much more like normal type of thing.